Antonio Brown is throwing dicks at local law enforcement. Lamar Jackson haters have crawled out of their dusty holes. Luke Kuechly, Carolina's darling, is calling it a career. And no, Coach O, you let Joe Burrow chief on that stogie as long as he damn well pleases. That is all coming up on this edition of the Don Mafia Report. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Dan Mitchell. And for those of you who don't know who you are the Don Mafia. And this just so happens to be the 32nd ranked YouTube sports show on the platform, the Don Mafia Report. And hey guys, this is a very busy time, especially when it comes to the NFL. And the conference championships are well underway. There's been a bunch of hirings. There's been domestic violence incidents. And so much football news that I could barely wrap my head around it. But I'm here for it. But yeah, like I said, we have a fantastic show today. We are going to be talking about how Big Dick Joe led LSU to yet another national championship. Some of the haters of Lamar Jackson decided to crawl out of their dusty holes to criticize the man who has had a unanimous MVP season. Luke Kuechly called it a career. And then, of course, Antonio Brown's 37th mental breakdown in the past 6 months. And we're going to cover all of that shit today, ladies and gentlemen. But before we even dive into it, I have to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor. If you are a craft beer lover and you do not have the Tavour app downloaded on your phone right now, I hate you. Just kidding. But seriously, Tavour is an amazing company that allows you to have access to some of the rarest beers you can find. It's a very simple process. You simply download the app, scroll through a wide selection of different brews, choose what you want, and then Tavour will send it to your front doorstep. That's a beautiful thing. And to make it even better, Tavour is actually hooking up the Don Mafia by giving you $10 off once you spend your first $25. If you look at it this way, I'm buying you a beer. And who doesn't love that? So pause this video right now and download Tavour today. Now let's get into our big story. Joe Burrow. Holy shit, what a game. No one on earth deserved that fat-ass stogie more than Joe Burrow, especially after the performance that he put on Monday night. Big Dick Joe led LSU to a 42-25 victory over the defending national champions, the Clemson Tigers. Now, I'm not even going to lie to you. It did not start off in LSU's favor. In fact, they were trailing by double digits for the first time all year. But me doubting Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers will never do that again because they had an absolute dominant second half. Joe Burrow completed over 63% of his passes for 463 passing yards and 58 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and handed Trevor Lawrence, no, not that one, his first loss since high school, becoming the first Heisman Trophy winner to win the national championship since Jameis I steal crab legs Winston. Now, I do want to lie to you and say that this LSU victory was a complete and utter surprise, but that simply would be untrue. The LSU Tigers are a far superior team to the Clemson Tigers. Now, Clemson fans, don't destroy me in the comments, but at the end of the day, when you have a schedule that is comprised of 5 top 10 opponents, rather than playing some glorified varsity high school teams in the ACC, you kind of saw it coming. But that doesn't take away from Joe Burrow's performance. In fact, I am absolutely ecstatic to watch this guy in the NFL. Let's just hope that the Cincinnati Bengals do not ruin him before he can even get started. The moral of the story is Joe Burrow. All right, now moving on to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens choking. It almost seemed like seconds after the game ended, the critics of Lamar Jackson just decided to come right back out and pick up on their criticism pre-draft or post his last playoff loss.
Baltimore Ravens fans, what happened? I thought Lamar Jackson was the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
But you got to figure out a way. Where's Lamar Jackson? Let me say this. Lamar Jackson did have 2 interceptions. He did have a fumble. That's not perfect. That is, but there is a difference between a running quarterback in a quarterback who happens to run. And you know.
Now, let me preface this by saying that I am a huge Lamar Jackson fan. The dude is an absolute stud. While his team did not come out on top with the W, he did throw for over 300 yards and rush for over 150. That's a pretty damn good performance if you ask me. But what blows my mind is that the people who criticized him in the past were basically excited once he lost that game. And it's almost disgusting. I mean, this guy had a unanimous MVP season, and you're going to sit there and say that the guy's a bust. I mean, you are absolutely out of your minds, and sports media just continuously blows my mind. It really, really does. I mean, especially coming from a Bills fan. I mean, sports media has been trashing Josh Allen since before he even put his name in for consideration for the NFL draft. Now, I understand that Lamar made mistakes. He had 3 turnovers, and he knows that. Roll the clip.
We just beat ourselves. You know, we had I had a lot of mistakes on my behalf. 3 turnovers, that shouldn't happen. But, you know, they came out to play. You know, we just started off slow. We just got to do better next time. But moving forward, get ready for this offseason. Get ready for next year.
Now, he is a very young player, and I'm almost willing to bet that he is about to take an additional step next year. And so I have full confidence in this guy, and I really think that he's going to have a similar season next year like he did this year, mostly because the Buffalo Bills just don't happen to be on their schedule next year. Next story, Luke Kuechly decided to break the millions of Carolina fans' hearts, and by announcing that he would be calling it a career. Let's roll the clip.
I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to play this game since I was in 4th grade, and I've been with the Panthers now for 8 years, and it's never the right time to step away, but now is the right time for me, and it's a tough decision. I've thought about it a lot, and I think now is the right chance for me to move on, and it makes me sad because I love playing this game. I've played it since I was a little kid, and it's my favorite thing in the world to do. And
now, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does seem to be continuing on a trend that we have seen in the NFL throughout the past couple of years. Most specifically, the shocking retirement of Andrew Luck when he seemed to just be getting into his prime. And then same with Luke Kuechly yesterday, and a bunch of different names. Now, I believe, while he didn't admit it, I do believe the reason that he was calling it quits was simply because of his injury history. The poor guy has had more concussions than one can count, surgery after surgery after surgery, and the guy is really just trying to look out for his body, look out for his well-being. And it's a very, very sad instance because he was such a baller for Carolina. Now, maybe it has to do with his injury history, or maybe it has to do with the Panthers' recent hiring of Coach Matt Rule and his propensity to drool on the sideline. Maybe he just doesn't want to be a part of that. I get it. But regardless, the Carolina Panthers and the Carolinas will miss Luke Kuechly and always wonder what could have been. And so now on to our last and final story. Ladies and gentlemen, Antonio Brown has had his 39th mental breakdown in the 2019 to 2020 NFL season. I've said it before. In fact, I might have said it about 5 times, but I am for sure this time this man just destroyed any chance of him ever taking another snap in the NFL with the events that happened a couple of days ago. Now, as the story was broken, it came down to the fact that his baby mama wanted to borrow a car or something, or I believe she was wanting to spend time with her kids, and she tried taking one of his cars. So Antonio Brown, he calls the police, and then he proceeds to live stream the entire thing by not only yelling at his ex-girlfriend, but the police as well. Let's watch a little clip of this.
Little boys, her that don't do this shit.
So what about my car though, bro? How could she leave with a car? No, bro. Get the kids' clothes. Ain't no more, bro. Get them the fuck out of here. What you mean? Bro, get them the fuck out of here, bro. Hey, sir, what about the car she driving? That's my car. What you told me? Ain't no domestic. She don't stay here.
And so it even escalates a little further when Antonio Brown throws a bag of gummy dicks right at the police and his girl, right on the street. My question is, where the hell did he get those? And then number 2, what was going through your mind thinking that that was a good idea, especially if you're trying to stage a comeback in the 2020 regular season? Now, me and my buddies, we were having conversations, right? That it's very, very sad because I think that Antonio Brown is the best receiver alive right now. He's an absolute boss. And it's sad because I really want to see him play football again. It's an exciting thing. But I mean, the guy really needs help. I personally think that the guy is 100% depressed. And that's what's leading into that type of behavior. And it's super sad. It really, really is. I guess only one can hope is that we'll be able to see AB play football. But please stay far, far away from the AFC East. Thank you. Well, Don Mafia, that's going to have to do it for another edition of the Don Mafia Report. Say that you're new here. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I regularly put out football videos at least 2 or 3 times a week, so stay around for the party. The Don Mafia always has welcoming arms to new subscribers. Say that you want to talk to me. The best way to do that is to follow me on Twitter at RealDanMitchell. Say that you want to see a bunch of mediocre pictures, then you can follow me on Instagram as well at the exact same handle at RealDanMitchell. And guys, we'll just go from there. Thank you for tuning in, and above all else, let's go Buffalo.